I 33, M and wife 30, F been together for 11 years and I thought everything was good between us until recently. For some context, I work as a dispatcher for truckers and it a pretty good job. I get good benefits and I make enough where we can both be comfortable. My wife had a job with building gaming computers but she lost job due to cutbacks, so I been the sole earner and I been picking up a lot of hours, and one day my car battery died on me, so I had my wife take me to work, and when we made it to the parking lot I saw my coworker Andrew. I waved at him and he walked over to say hello, and that when I introduced him to wife and she got the car to shake his hand and he looked at me and said that you never told me that your wife was so beautiful. She blushed and I laughed, not thinking about it, saying you're lucky to have her, and then we both walked into work after I kissed my wife goodbye. Few days later I got my car good and running, so I been going to work like normal, but during lunch I could not help but notice my wife's car in the parking lot, so I walked towards it and see her and Andrew talking and eating lunch in her car. I got upset but kept it cool and knocked on her window. She opened door and said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you that me and Andrew were having lunch today together." Then Andrew said, "I hope you're not angry." I took deep breath and said no, and I turned around and walked to the car because if I said anything else it was going to start an argument. But I can feel my wife getting frustrated because I walk away like that. So later that day when I got home she blew up once, saying that I embarrassed her in front Andrew, and I said, "Why do you even care and when did you even start hang out with him?" She said, "I a grown ass woman and I don't have to tell you shit," and then walk off. And since then she been distant, and I noticed she been on her phone more, calling and texting her friends, but I just know that it Andrew, but I don't want to accuse her, then I wrong and I look like an asshole, but at the same time I want to say something, I don't know what to do. Update: my wife been hanging out with my coworker Andrew without telling me, and when I found out she basically started getting distant from me, so I suspected that she been cheating on me with him. When I started to suspect it, my friend gave me his airdrop and I hid it in my wife's car and followed her. She told me that she was going to see a friend but I didn't believe, so I followed her in my friend's car to make sure she could not spot me, and after a 20-minute drive she drove up to a hotel. I not gonna lie, I felt sick and my heart kept pounding. I was really hoping that I was wrong and she was seeing friend, but instead I saw Andrew waving at my girlfriend and then I see her running and jumping on this guy and kissing him. I was so hurt and angry I wanted to get out and beat Andrew ass and tell my wife to get all of her shit out the house, but I didn't. Instead I took out my phone and took some pictures and drove off. When I saw them walk in the hotel, I went home and cried, screamed, yelled and punched a hole in the wall. I was feeling too many emotions at once. I called my friend and came over and I showed him the pictures and started crying again. I screamed 11 years down the fucking drain. My friend gave me a hug and told me to get a lawyer and to keep stacking up evidence against her. I didn't know if I can keep up the face anymore, but I told my friend I'll try. So during these past weeks I been stacking up evidence and keeping my distance. I seen them go to restaurants, movies, hotels, and every time it hurt, but I tough it out, and she always told me she going out with her friends or family, but I never called her and said okay. I thought I can keep it up for at least a few more days, especially because the lawyer I seeing that I have more than evidence to make sure I win and keep everything when we divorce. But I think I messed up yesterday. Yesterday was my birthday and I was not really feeling it. My wife did not even tell me happy birthday, but her parents did, and when I went to work my coworkers got me a cake and some gifts. I tried holding back the tears because for a moment I forgot about everything, at least until I saw Andrew. He got me a gift and I faked a smile and said thank you, and when I opened it was the comic Batman, Death of the Family, and I actually surprised because no one at work knew I was into comics and DC was my favorite. And when I told Andrew that, he said my wife told him, and then all I saw was red. Next thing I know my coworkers are holding me back and Andrew is in the corner covering his nose and yelling, "What the f***?" And then I screamed, "I know you been f***ing my wife." Everyone got silent and looked at Andrew and he tried explaining it to me, but I didn't care. All I wanted to do was beat his ass until he stopped moving. But then my boss came in and sent Andrew home and took me in his office, and I told him everything and showed him some of the pictures. He apologized to me and gave us some time off to sort everything, and he will deal with Andrew. Shit really went south when I got home and my wife was waiting, and she blew up on saying that I was wrong for doing that to Andrew and that she talked him out of pressing charges for hitting him, and kept yelling and yelling saying Andrew makes me feel like a real woman and treats me right and knows how to make me feel special. And I finally pop and just yelled, "I don't one give a f. She looked surprised and went silent, and I kept going saying, if he makes you feel special, go live him and have him support you because I done. And then she had the nerve to cry and say that she say sorry. Plus she tried saying how Andrew caught her at a moment of weakness, but I just took a deep breath and told her to get a lawyer because we getting a divorce, and she really tried to apologize and said that she can afford one and that we need to work on us, but I just looked her and told her to pack up, and she kept crying and begging, but I just got her suitcase and called her sister to come pick her up, but she locked herself in the bathroom saying she wouldn't come out until I was willing to work thing out with her. I kept telling her that I didn't want to work anything out and we need space because when I see her I feel angry and hurt, and she finally got out and apologized, and then she packed her shit and waited outside for her sister, and now I finally in the house alone and I can stop crying. I feel so many things and I just don't know anymore. I'm going to see my lawyer tomorrow. And sorry if I was all over the place with my post. I just feeling horrible and emotional, but I am planning on seeing a therapist soon. I'll definitely update everyone once all this blows over. She's only sorry she got caught and won't have her current lifestyle anymore. You don't have a moment of weakness by sneaking off to a hotel and acting over the moon when your side piece arrives, and ignore your own partner's birthday. OOP needs to lawyer up fast for both the divorce and upcoming assault battery charges. That was the first story, and now we are going to listen today's second story. Boyfriend of 3 years just admitted to cheating. We're on vacation together. I don't know what to do. I 30F. Had been in a seemingly happy relationship for a little over 3 years. My boyfriend 32M is wonderful. We have lived together for about 2 years, rarely ever argue. We have so much in common, and honestly he is my best friend. I love him and know that I want to marry this man. He flew to his hometown yesterday. I flew down this morning, and we are both catching a plane in the morning to go on vacation together for 6 days with 2 other friends of ours. Everything is paid for and cancellations are not possible this last minute. I've been in our hotel room bawling my eyes out and dry heaving for the past 2 hours. I Ubered from the airport, and when he came down to help me with my bags I immediately knew something was wrong. He looked like hell and was visibly nervous. Once we got into the hotel room he started tearing up and told me he had something to tell me. That he knows I'm going to leave him, but he can't keep a secret like that from me. He explained how he and a few of his childhood friends all went to a bar and he ran into a girl he went to college with. They never had sex but did go on a few dates almost 7 years ago. She invited him and a group of other people back to her house where they all proceeded to get drunk and do cocaine all night. I know about the occasional cocaine use and just catch up. Basically he and the college friend ended up having sex, and then she drove him to our hotel early this morning. He hasn't talked to her since and swears that it means absolutely nothing. He said she's not even attractive and that he was just f***ed up. He says it was a big mistake and is begging for my forgiveness. A huge part of me wants to ask for every last detail, but I'm scared to know that there is potentially more to the story. I don't know. I want to forgive him and enjoy our time away, but I truly don't know how. Update. After basically begging him, he told me the name of the girl and I reached out to her. I called her and put her on speaker so we all three could talk. Unfortunately, I'm learning the situation was much worse than the story originally told, and I will be on a flight home in a few hours. This other girl is not unattractive. The sex was not protected. He and her had been flirty the entire 3 hours before they finally had sex. Hand-holding, sitting on his lap, making out a lot. He gave her oral sex and basically the sex lasted quite a while with various things being done. Not like the cucked out unpleasant quickie I was told about. I feel like I want to die. Update 2. I flew home this morning, took a nap, packed some of my things, took our cat and am staying with a friend for the 6 days he's away. He didn't want to go on the trip but I insisted. I told him if he has ever loved me, to please give me the time and space I deserve. Unfortunately, our relationship is broken beyond repair. The reasoning behind why he cheated doesn't matter because the fact remains that he did. That in all of our time together I've never even considered or wondered about another man, and the first chance he got, he chose to have unsafe sex with someone else. I believe that he loves me and quite possibly is sorry. I don't however believe that he has any respect for me or our life together. I don't know that I'd ever forgive him or trust him again. No respect and no trust means no relationship. We do have a shared life, so the ending of this relationship is not quite as easy as me packing and leaving and not looking back. We have shared accounts, both of our names on our lease, shared phone plans and car insurance. Basically, The next few weeks are going to be rough. Update 3. I have no idea if anyone cares about the outcome of the situation, but it is almost cathartic to write it all down, so I'm doing it anyway. I finally have a calm moment to sit at my computer and compose a logical thought. Upon me returning home, he and I had very little communication at my request. I had originally planned to spend the week at my friend's home to process this life-altering event, but early this afternoon he texted me telling me he was home. Now, some people might think that shows a lot of effort on his part, that he's remorseful, and rather than enjoy his vacation he flew home to talk. Perhaps I would feel that way too, except I asked for space. I told him that if he had ever loved me he would give me time alone. He couldn't even give me that. I agreed to meet with him at our apartment to talk. I only wanted to talk about and sort out all the details. Our finances, home, etc. We agreed on paying to break our lease, to stay on the insurance policy and phone plan together for now, but an enroll auto pay so we're able to make our payments separately. I also asked for him to reimburse me for what I paid towards the vacation from hell. I wanted to wrap things up enough in that moment to where I would have to see and speak to him as little as possible. I know that some communication in the future will be inevitable, but right now I can't deal with it. I told him he can stay in our apartment until we have to leave. I packed some more of my things and left. I don't know if he looked upset or if he was crying. I honestly barely heard anything he had to say because I was so enraged at the person in front of me, a complete stranger. I don't know if the past 3 years were all a lie. I don't know if he has cheated before or that he would cheat on me again. All I am sure of is that he was capable of lying and cheating now. I refuse to be another cautionary tale of a woman who loved someone more than herself, so she forgave a cheater only to be cheated on again. There is a big difference between guilt and remorse. Update 4. I am all moved out of the apartment, my things going into storage because I am still staying in my friend's home for the time being. This breakup has proved to be financially burdensome, but somehow money has managed to be the least stressful part of this ordeal. It turns out that I never knew the man I shared my life with for the past 3 years. My ex and I ended up having a conversation on the last day of us moving out. He seemed apologetic and sad and asked if we could talk. He said that he loves me, that he will always love me, and he wants us to stay together. He apologized and said he would stop bullshitting, no more lies. I didn't feel the need to have a conversation, but I did have just one question. I asked him, why? I never could have imagined in a million years that he would tell me that the reason he cheated was because I miscarried 6 months ago. Especially because of how supportive and loving he was during that period in our lives, I felt blindsided and betrayed. He said that he knows that it was not my fault, that there was nothing I could have done differently, but it had caused him to resent me, that he was angry. He said he knew how this sounded, which is why he never talked to me about it. He didn't want to hurt me. I of course at this point felt sick. My heart hurt in ways I never knew possible. Even the death of my father did not hurt in ways his words and actions were hurting me. Here is this man that I have unconditionally loved and supported for over 3 years. I was his biggest cheerleader in life, encouraged him to be his own person and to still live his own life. I wanted him to be happy. We never went to bed mad at each other, we never called each other names, we never not kissed each other goodnight or goodbye in the morning. Our relationship seemed great, and yet he's telling me for the last 6 months he has resented me, borderline hated me at times. He admitted to downloading Tinder and chatting with women over the last 6 months. He swore that it never became sexual up until the night he cheated, and that was only because they had history. I have no clue if that is true. Honestly, I don't care whether or not it is. The cheating is minimal compared to the words he just spoke. We were both crying and I handed him my keys for him to turn in. I gave him a hug and told him that he needs therapy and that I never want to speak to or see him again. I have a therapy appointment next week and will start to work on healing. I am looking at potentially getting a loan so I can get out of anything left that we have shared. I also want to look into moving to a different city, but that is still up in the air. I have changed my phone number and blocked him everywhere. There was never a chance of him and I getting back together, and this just solidifies my decision. This will most likely be my last post on the subject, but I once again thank each and every one of you. Update 5. I thought my last update would really be the last, but a lot has happened in such a short amount of time. I figured I could close this chapter with a neat little bow. First, I want to say thank you to each and every person that commented or messaged from either post. The outpouring of love is more than I could ever have imagined receiving from strangers. I see so many posts on here with much worse stories, and I don't know what I did to deserve the love and support, but I am eternally grateful. Second and finally, me and my ex have not talked. There is absolutely no way for him to reach me directly, as I ended up moving in with a different friend for the time being. He does not know about this. He still thinks I am at friend A's home and communicates with her if there is anything that needs to be said in regards to business matters. She does not allow him to talk about anything personal, and if he does, she does not pass it along. We have zero things connecting us at this point. In my last post I talked about possibly moving cities, and well, that happened. I was offered a job I had been trying to get for quite some time, and the position finally opened up. I have been working from home for about a week. We'll work from home for another week and then I move. Rhonda Kitty is probably not going to be too thrilled, but we have a vet appointment for some kitty meds to hopefully ease the transition. She's top priority, always. I love my new job, I love my friends, and I love where my life is headed. I wish nothing bad for my ex and have no ill will towards him, and truly hope he can find peace in his life. Often what we lose is nothing compared to what we gain. It's just getting past our human ego and being able to see it. Very proud of you. OP, good on you for putting yourself first. You are headed in a great direction in life, and I really admire you for not letting your ex hold you back. Just remember, there is someone out there for you who won't lie to you and hurt you, and you will be so much happier and better off in the long run. Sending you lots of hugs and good vibes because you are so much stronger than you think. Thanks for listening everyone. If you enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Reddit Zone to never miss a future upload.